that knocked my control. Okay, as you can see, I'm having some severe issues here with my studio. So you're back, you're back, you're back. I thank you, Monica. I'm glad you're back. BTD mom, I know. I have no idea, absolutely no idea what's going on with this studio. I'm not going to torture you guys with another day of going in and out. So I'm going to suspend podcasting today, y'all. I'm really sorry. We're going to try and get this together. And I hopefully will be back with you at a later time. Back at Twitch. Okay, Jams JJ. I just don't know how long we're going to make it through. Back at Twitch. Thank you, Sheila Miles. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Bu- 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 bu. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Back on Facebook. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Uh, let's see. We'll give people an opportunity to come back. If I go out again, we're just gonna call it a day. I'm not sure what's going on with my studio. It is really having a lot of issues here, and I do not know why. I see you coming back slowly but surely. My apologies. Please accept my apologies. I have no idea what's going on in my studio. Um, but we are obviously experiencing some kind of difficulty um, that is shutting us down. So um, I'm trying to see. I see more of you coming back. Oh, I tell you. Well, let's just kind of share a little bit. I'm not going to try to stay on a long time because I don't know how long my studio is going to run. I will say this: if the studio shuts down again, we'll just call it a day. And try to get my studio corrected and come back. Royal Confessions, good to see you back. Hey, it's the birthday girl. 2 days ago, we're still celebrating, still loving on you, still appreciating all that you bring to the table. And I'm loving you, absolutely loving you, Royal Confessions. That's my iron. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead. I just want to, because I don't know how long my studio is going to hold up. And again, if we cut out the next time, I will try to get my studio set up, and I may have to go back to my old studio for this point moving forward. In the meantime, I'll try to get through as long as I can today before it shuts me down. I want to go ahead and let me just go ahead and touch on my word of the day, because I don't know. Thank you. I love you too, BTD mom. I love you too. Let me just go ahead and get to the word of the day, and we'll see how far we can get through today. And keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. I do want to give a shout out to my nephew, who today is his birthday. That would be Master Jameis Betts, who I believe is 6 years old on today, and that's my baby. Yes, that's my baby. So I want to give him that shout out, and also my cousin Deborah Stillman. It's her birthday on today too. Happy birthday, Deborah! Happy birthday to you. Now, I appreciate those of you that have come back. We are about halfway back, but I have half that didn't come back, and I apologize again for the breakdown in my studio. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but we're going to keep it moving. I want to talk today about my word of the day, and that word of the day is penthouse mindset. Penthouse mindset. And I just want to get to the point of discussing and addressing this idea of penthouse mindset. Now, I told you on several months now that my call is really a liberation theology. It is a liberation theology. I have completely moved away and divorced myself, and will continue to divorce myself from the whole element of bondage, particularly as it relates to spirituality. Spirituality, if anything, should lead your feet back to the journey of freedom and liberty. So as I review and as I analyze and as I look at the different things that we teach and have taught and embraced in the idea of really bondage theology, and push that for people to eat it, to serve it up on a regular, on a weekly, on a daily. Something down in my shando is saying no. My shando is just like, I can't do it. I just cannot. I cannot. So on today, on this Fresh Start Friday, yes, down in my shando, let me get that up. I have to do it manually, but we'll try to get through this and still have some of our normalcy that we are accustomed to having. Well, down in your shando, I want you to get that idea of liberation theology down in your shando. Penthouse mindset is my word of the day. So from the perspective of liberation theology, I am encouraging people to understand and embrace the reality that you belong in the penthouse. Now, we all know the idea and concept of what the penthouse represents. And in the penthouse are the people that are of means, of ability, of status, of doing well, being well, living well, and expecting well. I'm going to say that again: doing well, being well, living well, and expecting well. And this is where I part ways with a lot of the bondage mentality, because barely do we teach you to live well. We surely don't expect you to be well, because half of us that are talking to you are sick, tore down, toe up from the floor up ourselves. So we're not talking about being well. We're not talking about being well or doing well financially, mentally, relationally. And we sure don't come from that place of expectation of expecting well. But we will and have really indoctrinated you to the idea of, if I suffer, and again, as Bishop Yvette Flunder has done the teaching on the fallacy of the salvific, what's the word? Value of suffering, the salvific value of suffering, the idea that if I suffer, there is such a value, there's such a honor, there's such a privilege in being able to suffer, because if I suffer, I'm going to gain eternal life. So we set your expectation as one to suffer and one of suffering. And so, as I said on the other day, and even in talking to Royal Confessions, the whole idea of getting into the now, and your happiness is happening. Getting into a mindset that my happiness is happening, not what happened yesterday, and that was my happiness, and not even speaking in happiness in the future tense of what will and may happen tomorrow, but my happiness is happening right now. And my happiness is happening because I am happening. I'm living in the now. I'm living in an expectation that is not in the place of low living in the basement and on the ground floor. But I want us to get back to the penthouse mentality. And so, yes, those that live in the penthouse, they live well, they expect well, they that whole expression of being able to go to the penthouse identifies that I belong here, not down in the basement, but I belong here. And something about the penthouse is usually it is equipped differently. It has special accommodations that are upgraded, updated. Some of us need to do an upgrade and an update. Some of us, even in just how, not only the thinking, I want you to definitely upgrade and update in your thinking, but then allow that to also reflect in the different areas of your life. And so I want you to look a little different. You know, that look may have been the same look that you had the last 10 years. Okay, but this is 2021. Can you get a new look? Can you get a new outfit? Can you get a new hairdo? Can you get something that it begins to speak to you? And I'm not saying just frivolously go out and changing a bunch of stuff, but I do want you to start thinking about what can help me to come into 2021 to represent the new me that I am and begin happening. What can I begin to express and show? And how can I begin, even in as I begin to encourage you all some time ago, get some new books. Yeah, some of you go back and you read the old books, and I have some standards too, and I read them. I've been reading them since my childhood. Things that are excellent. The discipline of the followers. I have different books that I read that I go back through and I read them. The Disciplines of Life. That's the name of the book. The Disciplines of Life. There are certain things. My utmost for His highest. There are a lot of different things out there that I read, and I read them repeatedly. But listen, this is 2021. There are some things that have changed. There's some voices that are out there. Start talking from that premise and start talking from that place of existence. This is one of the reasons why I want you to update. And I know a lot of it's not out there. So I'm speaking to people like Royal Confessions. Sheila Miles, I'd love to see you do some writing. There's some other folks of you out there that, you know, your mind and your ability to sit down and write some stuff. And I'm just pulling out folks. There are many of you in my chat right now. There are many of you that are listening to me right now that this would apply to. But some of you have some fresh ideas that we need the voice and the perspective from 2021. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be spoken in this age of liberation and in this age of God. It hasn't been written yet because, again, I'm reading from literature that came out of the age of the church. I'm reading from literature that even came out of the age of law. But the voice that is able to speak from the age of God has yet to really be heard and spoken in this hour. So I'm telling you, some of us need to go ahead and start branching out and doing something different. Some of you in your businesses that you're doing, the concepts, the ideas, what you're doing. I went out and looked at Shelby Nicole Cosplay, and I want to give a shout out to her and Mike City. They're also subscribers to this channel that support financially. I appreciate them. I looked at her on the other day, and she was doing resin. She was working with resins and creating whole new items for sale and for purchase. And I looked at how she was doing it, and I looked at her creativity. Now, that's not my forte, but again, that's her forte. Go out there and support her. I looked at that and I said, my goodness, there's so many different avenues and so many different ways and so many different concepts that speak to the new. And this is why I want you to do it, because not only financially will it help you to come into this penthouse mindset. Yes, I need to step my game up a whole nother level. I need to move it to a whole nother place. Some of you are wondering why doors are closing, because it's time for you to walk into that new door. And listen, I need to tell you to get that penthouse mindset that says, I'm ready to move on up. Y'all remember on the Jeffersons, and they had that song, moving on up to the east side, I finally got a piece of the pie. Listen, I want you to get a penthouse mentality that says, not only am I deserving of a piece of the pie, I'm deserving of the whole pie. I'm deserving of the whole entire thing. This is my pie, and it's okay for it to be my pie. Good morning, Nathan Lamont. I'm glad you're here this morning, baby, because you're part of this penthouse mindset that needs to be able to be heard and speak in this hour. I want us to get out. Check out Shelby Cosplay. Check out Mike City. Check out the Rebel Inc. Why? Because we're talking about people that are moving in a new place and a new time with a penthouse mindset, such that you begin to have folks that say, you know what? All of that old school stuff is okay. But at the same time, is there anybody else besides me that is tired and tired and tired again of that old school mindset, especially as it relates to the bondage? I am ready for the new to come forth. I listen for it. My ears are perched for it. I'm going to tell you the truth. When I go out and I hear people and I'm listening to their words, and I keep picking up elements and remnants of that old, when my spirit hears it, there's something in me that kind of starts backing up, because I'm like, look, there's only so much of that old that my spirit can tolerate. There's only so much of that I can take into my shando, and then I just shut it off. I mean, I tune it out. I turn the knob, click, get the remote, hit the button, shut it down. Like what my studio keeps doing to me, at leisure and at will, just shutting me down. That is probably indicative of the place that I am right now, because I am looking for folks that are really ready to have a penthouse mentality. When I hear, and hear me when I say this, when I hear people that want to continue on, makes your baby, listen, I want something, royal confession, that makes my baby jump. Now, see, you don't mess with me right there, because that's the essence of what I'm talking about. When we talked about the age of Jesus bringing a whole different element into the earth by coming down into the earth realm. And even before he got here, when Elizabeth and Mary, when they saw one another, when you hear something and experience something that makes your baby leap in your womb, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm listening for. That's what my expectation is. And I'm going to tell you, it comes from those that have a penthouse mindset. For everybody that's still drudging the bottom of the bank, drudging the bottom of the ocean, drudging the bottom of the basement, and y'all barely making it. Listen, I don't have any less love for you. I love you. Please believe that I love you. But I can only listen to you for so long, because you don't make my baby jump. You don't make my baby jump. And I'm not talking about emotionalism, but I'm talking about when that's in you, in that penthouse mindset. Here's somebody else. Yes, iron sharpens iron. When I hear and I have that sense of knowing that you are able to make the baby in my womb, in the very core of my being, when you are able to make my baby jump, baby, then you got my full attention. And I can guarantee you it tends to come from those that have that penthouse mindset. Because listen, those days of Massa said, I'm done with that. I don't care what Massa said. I don't live on the plantation no more. I do not live on the plantation. And so what Massa says has absolutely positively no sway and no interest to me whatsoever. So listen, when I go out, I don't care if it's your business. When I go out and I see people that are moving in a suave business way that tells me they have a penthouse mentality, they catch my full attention, y'all. They get my full attention. And I love it, because I love to see, I like the way you move. Isn't that what the song said? I like the way you move. I like it. And when I begin to see that penthouse mentality operate outside of the realm of, oh, woe is me. I'm sick of woe is me. And listen, can I tell you, and I know that there's still the place for bye black sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, be 3 bags full. And for those of you that are still living and in that experience and in that time, come on and get that coffee cup ready, BTD mom. I know some of you are still in that mindset. You're still in that place. You're still trapped in that world. I love you, baby. But listen, I'm not coming to bye black sheep, have you any wool. I just can't do it. I can't bear it. It's too much. Because at the end of the day, bye black sheep, have you any wool? And I'm come back, yes sir, 3 bags full. And I'm giving all my wool away. But at the end of the day, I'm talking a penthouse mindset that says, you ain't gonna get my wool for free. There's a price for this wool, because this is no longer plantation. Good morning, Mama Barnes. This is no longer, thank you for joining the stream. I want you to understand, yes sir, 3 bags full, 1 for my master, 1 for the dame, 1 for the little boy lives down the lane. I got my own wool for myself. And if you want this, do you want some of this smoke? Do you want some of this smoke? If you're talking about getting something from me, I need to have a penthouse mindset that says, from my entrepreneurial version and vision, oh yeah, you can have some, but listen, what did Reverend Ike say? The book is free, free, but the cover is $9.99. I need you to get to the point where you begin to understand. Listen, ain't nothing free. As the first law of economics teaches, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And that's one of the first things I had to learn in economics, and they give you those letters in acronym. There's no such free thing as a free lunch. And I want you to understand, you have something to offer. You have something to provide. You have something that people want. And listen, if people want it, stop selling yourself short. Stop selling yourself as nothing. Now, with that being said, I want you to understand, I'm not coming from that capitalistic version of plantation capitalism. Go out there and scalp the people for all you can get. Because listen, there is something to be said for knowing what you're worth and knowing when to give it and knowing when to merchandise it. Am I making sense? There is something to be said because listen, one thing that I'm saying in this day and time, all of us in that penthouse mindset, we understand I didn't get to the penthouse by myself. I didn't get to the penthouse alone. Somebody helped me get here. And so there is a lot to be said for understanding from a pure heart and with real meaning the pay it forward concept. Not pay it forward, where's the camera for my photo op? Not pay it forward, get the newspaper people here so they can tell and show and speak about how I paid it forward. No, I'm not talking about that mess. I'm talking about when you pay it forward and nobody knows that you paid it forward. I'm talking about paying it forward because it's just in your heart, because you know that this was a person, this was a season and a time that you needed to pay it forward. And it ain't nothing attached to this but me to give it to you. But at the same time, some of y'all been giving it away for free all the time, henceforth, now, and forevermore. That's the mindset that you come from. And that's why you're poor. That's why and not just poor financially, but you're poor in spirit. You're poor in energy. You're poor in mindset. Why? Because all that you've given away for free. And listen, I can preach on this. I can teach on this because this is something I know all too well. I'm all too familiar with it. The whole idea and concept that, listen, I just got to give everything away. No. I understand when it said your gift will make room for you. The idea of the gift making room for you is not just that the doors will open, but when you walk in the door, what did you do with what you had? When you walk in the door, let go of the slave mentality, Nathan Lamont. That whole idea that I'm out here picking cotton, I'm out here getting seed, I'm out here planting and harvesting to give it away to massa so that they can benefit and profit while I'm sitting over here looking pit. Those days are over. Those days, you have to know your worth. And knowing your worth is not greed. Honor the gift that God has given you. And we've been taught in that slavery mentality, Sheila Miles, we've been taught that everybody is deserving of what we have, and we need to just hand it over. And that's why I go back to the no more baa black sheep have you any wool. I can tell you there are many of you that your gift of knowledge, your gift of vision, your gift of always knowing what to say and when to say, your gift of being able to interact with people of all backgrounds and all stations of life. Those are gifts that you have been given that some people are capitalizing. Yes, even plantation capitalism, they're capitalizing on the gift that you've been given. So when you say your gift will make room for you, I also want you to understand it will also put you in your penthouse. It was given to you to put you in your penthouse. It was not given to you to put somebody else in their penthouse. It was given to put you in your penthouse. And if you move into your penthouse and get that penthouse mentality that never stops, it will allow you to help other people find their penthouses too. It's not just for you, but it will help others as well. Because how did you get there? Somebody's going to be looking. Somebody's going to be asking. somebody's going to be wondering. Somebody's going to walk up to you, and when you start talking, their baby's going to leap. When you start talking, something down in their shando begins to respond to what you're saying. Something about your journey, something about how you got from A to B to C begins to resonate in their spirit, and their baby begins to leap. And they begin to say, if you can do it, I can do it too. Listen, everybody, all the crawdads at the bottom of the barrel, all we can do at the bottom of the barrel is just crawl over one another, but ain't nobody going nowhere. And this is what I really want to say to people today. Listen, that penthouse mentality will make you say, I'm not going to stay down here with the rest of the crawdads. I'm going to get out. I'm meant to get out. I'm going to climb out. And the only way I can get out of the bottom of the pail is that I've got to reach for something higher. I've got to move on up a little higher, and I've got to climb to a different level. I'm going to tell you what, I was never so dismayed when I was talking to a young person a few years ago. And I'm telling you, this young sister got all kinds of intelligence, got all kinds of energy, got all kinds of ability. And as I was talking to her, and as we begin to share back and forth, because I was talking at that, listen, the baby is got a phenomenal job and nothing to show for it. I mean, a job that folks are dying to get and nothing to show for it. I said, baby, I said, come on to the side. Let's do some investment. Let's take some of this money. What are you doing with your money? She said to me, everybody knows my pay period better than I do. Now, listen, I need y'all to hear the word of the Lord. I need you to hear the word of that child, which is really the word of the Lord. There are folks that know your pay period better than you do. She said, as soon as I get paid, and sometimes days before I get paid, I start getting phone calls from all my family members. And every last one of my family members has a need for my money, so that by the time I get my check, the check is spent, and it's not spent on me, it's spent on everybody else. I'm preaching real hard right now. I want you to understand, as I began to talk to her about penthouse mentality, my spirit was grieved because that child told me. I said, but don't you want something better? She said, I don't want to move from here. And I ain't mad at the projects. I'm really not. But listen, I'm looking at somebody that's making 6 figures and you're happy to live in the projects. I said to her, I said, baby, what do you mean? I love it here. I don't want to go anywhere. I love it right. And I'm looking and I'm like, it's a whole bunch of people in this one little place. What are we doing? And we got one car amongst all of us, which is yours. What are we doing? There's nobody working in this house but you. What are we doing? And then you got family and friends that don't even live here that know your paycheck and your payday better than you do. What are you doing? And that child, when she said to me, after all the talking that we did, when that child said to me, but I like it here and I don't want anything different. I said, oh my God. And I'm talking about young 20s. And I'm looking and I'm saying, baby, if you in just a few years, if you just had a penthouse mentality and said, how can I take some of this? I said, listen, that you're giving out and giving to everybody when they need to get their own jobs, when they need to get their own bag, they need to get their own thing. While you're giving all this money away, trying to give them the life that they want off of your back, it's still plantation mentality, and that's black on black crime. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. But I'm trying to talk about penthouse mindset that says this is not the way that I'm going to live. I'm not happy with this whole concept of living. And listen, we've got to come to a point where we begin to encourage one another. I will not live in bondage. I'm not going to live out there on the plantation. I'm not, and even with the money coming in, we still have that mindset that's down in the gutter, that's down in the basement. What are you talking about, spiritual thought leader? Number one, let's just deal with that element. How much of your money are you trying to invest? How much of your money are you really looking and saying, what do I need to do with this income that I have? Because listen, if you eat all of the seed, if you eat all of the money, hear what I say, you'll never have something to plant for later. They had to understand when they were migrating all the way back in 1492 and all of the things that happened after that. Then, yes, Aguna Badger, even white folks have become slaves to the system and they cannot see it. But I'm trying to make it plain to you. It is plantation capitalism. And this is what I want to hear. I want you to hear me say on today. I want you to go back and look. I don't care if you're in retirement. I don't care where you are in your place of life right now. I want you to make an assessment because we must be free and we got to get up out of the basement. We got to get up off the first floor. I want you to get back. I love it when Donald Lawrence penned the words to the song. Let's go back to Eden and live on top of the world, because that's the place that we were intended and designed to live, on top of the world. He gave us dominion. But this is a thing, going back to what I started to say in 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. This is a thing we got to understand. As they found, and it wasn't found, they didn't find it, it was already here and it was populated. But as they want to say, they found the new world, and Aguna Badger and the natives of this land can attest they were already here. But the idea, once they started settling and once they started sending and colonizing and sending people, they began to bring food that was not indigenous to this area. And what did they understand? If I eat up everything on the ship, when I get to the new world, there won't be anything to plant. If I eat up everything on the ship, and this is what I want you to hear me saying today. If you're eating up everything in your life, if you're eating up everything as it comes, it's gone. You know, it's almost like what I used to do. Now, listen, I ain't like some of y'all, because I saw some people get abused when it came to time on the books, when they did away with, you don't have vacation time, you don't have a sick leave. Honey, when they did away with all of that and you just had massive leave and it had to cover everything. And I saw people behind people who had all kind of book time on the books, and they took that, all of that time was like it was nothing on the books at all, and you had to start from scratch. I said, oh no, baby, you won't get me like that again. When I earn it, I burn it. Now, that's a concept that I utilized when I was in the system, when I saw they was gonna jack me around with my time. And I don't let 1 minute drop off the books that I can utilize and get paid for. But listen, that earn it, burn it, it may work for time on the books and making sure you don't get stiff there. But if earn it, burn it is the way that you live your life and the way you operate with your resources, listen, at the end of the day, when you are in need and you really need something, ain't nothing gonna be there. When you really need to plant what you have so that you can have more, you will not have, because you've already eaten all the seed. So I want you to take an assessment in your whole entire life, every area. Pay attention. Am I operating in an earn it, burn it, eat all the seed type mentality? Or do I recognize for the penthouse, if I want to be able to move forward and have the things that I want to have, I've got to understand when to give, when to hold back, when to sell, when to buy, when to do. I mean, I want you to get, because that mindset says I'm in charge. I am at the top. I am not expecting to fail. And it's not to say that you may not fail, but listen, failure is just a class. Failure is just a lesson. Failure is just a teaching. It's not a take you out scenario, but every time you fail, you learn something that's going to take you higher in your next endeavor. It's never, ever, as my sister Sheila Miles says, no quit. This has to be a mindset of no quit. When you get penthouse mentality, everything that you launch may not soar to the top immediately, but by all means, step back and make an assessment. You got to be, what did we say? You got to have that ability to be transparent. You have to have that ability to inspect it. Is this really working? And then you got to have that ability to adjust it. What do I need to modify to make this work? But definitely no quit, and definitely no down in the gutter, down in the basement, and down on the low. No, that is not where I'm designed designed to live. I'm going to say it once more and again. Let's go back to Eden, live on top of the world. That means you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. That means you can't constantly running around. Can I borrow? Can I borrow 5? Can I borrow 10? Can I borrow 20? Now, you know your paycheck is only 20, but you done borrowed 40. So when you get your 20, you trying to figure out who I can give a dime to here, who I can give a dime to there to look like I really am trying to pay you back. But you already overextended yourself in debt. I don't care whether it's people. I don't care if it's plastic, as we call credit cards. By the end of the day, if everybody owns you except you, that is not a penthouse mentality. I own myself. I run myself. This is my jungle. This is my kingdom. I am a lion. This pride is relentless. This pride is relentless, and you're going to hear me roar because I own myself. I don't have to worry about being a sellout to nobody because I own myself. I am myself, and I actually get the freedom to be myself in everything that I do because I have a penthouse mindset. I'm going to say it once more and again. That mindset is not merely about, I want a piece of the pie. Oh, the Jeffersons is okay. Hey, Sarah Naomi, I love you too. That's my cousin right there. I love you, girl. Listen, I want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to get more than a piece of the pie in your concept. The pie is yours. The apples that made the pie was yours. The sugar is yours. The crust that made it is yours. The thickening in it is yours. Everything about this is mine. And so when I get into that place, I don't have to feel comfortable. I'm uncomfortable rather about what I do with my pie. If I decide I want to give you a slice, I can. If I decide I want to sell you a slice, I can. If I decide all of this pie right here is mine and I'm going to eat the whole thing, I can. Because the pie is mine. Because that is the place that I operate from. I am not in a plantation mentality. And no. I want you to understand, just because they're saying, baa, baa, black sheep, have you any wool? You don't have to say, yes, sir, 3 bags full. You don't have to say nothing. You don't have to know that I got 3 bags full. Because listen, some of y'all, people are targeting you from the words that you say. They're wandering around, and when they hear you say, I got 3 bags full, all of a sudden, honey, they congregate on you like roaches on a piece of bread. They will come and eat everything that you got because they heard you say 3 bags full. Some of us need to just stop talking and telling all your business, because at the end of the day, in the penthouse, listen, you can come to the penthouse by invitation, but please understand, sir, please understand, ma'am, just because I invited you to the penthouse, that doesn't give you free liberty to roam around in my penthouse. You go where I want you to go, and the places that are off limits to you are off limits to you. I don't care how you beg. I don't care how you snot. I don't care how you kick and scream. It's off limits to you, and I don't have to tell you why it's off limits to you. Stop explaining yourself. Stop feeling like you got to tell people why you made the decision that you made regarding what they want to do in your penthouse. Listen, baby, it's your penthouse. You don't owe anybody any explanations about what's going on in your penthouse and what you decided to do and what you decided not to do. We still have that plantation mentality that's telling us, I got to explain to massa why I did X, Y, and Z. I got to explain to massa where I'm going. I got to explain to massa what I was doing while I was out of the cotton field. I got to, no, y'all can go on with that mindset if you want to, but I guarantee you, people that understand that they are in charge, you're not going to have the CEO trying to tell you every little thing. You are not going to have them trying to tell you why I gave this promotion to this person, or why I chose this product over that person, or why I did this, that, and the other. It doesn't work like that. So at the end of the day, I need you to come back to a place of being in charge and not being behind in followership. I need that mindset to come to a penthouse level where you are the person that's in charge. Yes, you be large and in charge of your own world. Stop letting other folk dictate to you who, what, where, when, why, and how. At the end of the day, when you are in charge, and I'm not talking about being abusive, I'm not talking about being a bully, I'm not talking about being anything other than who you are. I'm talking about not feeling like the way that many of us were raised. You got to explain yourself to everybody. You don't have to explain. That's all. Listen, Ricky Ricardo, oh, let me explain. I don't want you to explain. I want you to live like you know that you are the one that owns the penthouse. I want you to live like you know you belong there. Nathan, you said an 82-year-old lady told you in 2-6, honey, don't spend all your money and this is all you see. I know you're right. You got to have some seed. You had to have some control over what you're doing. You can't expect the folks that don't walk in your shoes to understand the way you walk, King Coogee. And it's not for them to know. That's what I want us to understand. Don't feel that obligation like you got to explain, because you know what I learned, Coogee? After you take all of your breath, you take all of your time, after you take all of your energy and try to explain it to them, they still don't understand. And why do they not understand it? It's not for them to understand. And there are some things, hear me when I say this, there are some things that your experience, or whether experiential knowledge, whether it's you went to school and got the knowledge, there are some people that do not have the knowledge that you have. I'm not trying to be ugly, and it's not condescending. It's just a fact. Some people do not have the knowledge that you have. So while you're trying to explain it to them, if you're talking about a teaching and a concept that they have no exposure to, baby, you almost wasting your breath unless they're quick learners. You're wasting your breath, because if they haven't been taught the concept, especially if it's a heavy concept, they can look at you all day long and you can be trying to explain it and break it down. And at the end of the day, it's like talking to a deer in headlights. They have no clue what you're talking about. I want you to understand, then there comes that point where you need to appreciate the knowledge, whether it's experiential knowledge, or whether it's knowledge, know-how, ability. It's not theirs, so they cannot relate to it. So I want you to understand, whether you got it in school or whether you got it by experience, experiential knowledge, it doesn't matter if they have not been educated in that area. Stop wasting your time talking to folks and trying to explain what they'll never comprehend. This is a word to somebody, because some of y'all, the reason why it seems like you keep spinning your wheels, you're spending too much time trying to talk to people that have no idea and will never potentially have any idea what you're talking about. So I just wasted 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I just wasted my time. Again, I'm not talking about being condescending, but I am talking about when you get the penthouse mindset, you'll understand time management. Some things I have time for, some things I make time for, and then some things I don't have time for. Because in the penthouse mentality, I have to understand and expect what is the value of my time and what is the value of what will be accomplished. What is the return on my investment? ROI. Return on investment. So many times we're investing in stuff that's not going to yield any return. You're investing in people that will yield no return. You're investing in ideas and concepts that will not yield any return. And then you wonder why you're tired. You wonder why you're tuckered. You wonder why you're wore out. You wonder why your energies are constantly depleted. And now you done got depressed and don't feel like getting up out of bed in the morning. And I'm telling you, you can take so much time investing in something that yields no return that it literally zaps the life. It literally zaps the strength. It literally zaps the joy out of you. I want you to understand, there is that reality that we've been given life, and the idea is that no, we just have life, but that we have it more abundantly. Don't y'all want to move into the more abundant life? I'm trying to tell you, it's not down in the gutter. It's not down in the basement. It's not down in the low places of living. And with that, understand it's not in how I suffer. This is a suffering way. It is not in that. I want you to hear me when I say it. Folks are not running after people that suffered. Folks are not running after people that are going through every day you see them. And then you try to sing a song to pump yourself up. I'm going through. Yes, you're going through. You look like you're going through. You sound like you're going through. You act like you're going through. I'm not trying to follow you going through. I am looking for people that have a penthouse mentality, that know I'm going up. My mind is made up. I'm on my way up. I'm going to hold my head up. That's what I'm looking for. And so as we look, yes, some people don't want to learn. And I know what you're saying, Sheila Miles. Some folk don't really listen. They just stay near long enough to get what they want from you. What did I tell you? Just like my dear little friend, some of them are just there. And come on, I'm trying to give it to you. I'm trying to give it to you. I'm so glad to have you here at Sean Williams. I'm so glad to have you here. So I want you to hear what I'm saying. Just like I said about my young friend in her 20s, got a good job, working at a wonderful, wonderful scenario, making all kind of good money. But the people are just staying near. They don't care about when she's depressed. They don't care about when she's feeling down. They don't care about when she's hurting. They don't care about any of that. The only thing they care about is the money. Show me the money. And to have that whole mentality, and it makes sense to me why we can't get out of the projects. We'll always be a project. We'll always be in the projects until we get to a place where we understand I have a penthouse mentality that says I'm going to move from here. I belong someplace other than here. And I'm going to get up. And this is the thing. When you make up your mind, when you get it in your heart, after a while, you can't take the bondage. Hear me when I say it. You can't take the plantation. Oh, but I had a little hut. I had a little piece of a shotgun house over there on the plantation I didn't have to pay for. But it was a raggedy, toe down, ain't got no floor in it, shotgun house. Is that enough for you? Is that what you're contented with? And I'm not just talking literally, but I also want you to take it figuratively. I also want you to take it in an idea of really, this is symbolically my life. Am I happy being in a shotgun house on the plantation? Am I happy dusting and sweeping the floor? And the floor ain't nothing but dirt. I'm just moving dirt around. Am I really happy with that kind of living? Am I really happy down here in this low place where I gotta have Massa tell me everything? Whenever Massa tells me to get up, I gotta get up. Whenever Massa tells me to sit down, I gotta sit down. Whenever Massa tells me to shut up, I gotta shut up. Whenever Master tells me, that's what listen, I'm done with Simon Says. I'm done with Plantation Says. I'm even done with Pastor Says. I'm in a place where I'm looking for people that have a penthouse mentality, where you have ability to think critically. You have the ability to process. Number one, you have a relationship with God directly, and it's not contingent and dependent on what people tell you. And you can trust the God in you to lead you and guide you into all truth. That's who I'm talking about. And in this age of God, as we go into all truth says love. And God is love. But you know who I got to love first and foremost? I got to love myself. Stop all of this baa black sheep, have you any wool? And in that instance, I'm going to say, have you any love? I got love for my master. I got love for my dame. I got love for the little boy that lives down the lane. But I don't have love for myself. Oh, no, baby. Let's come back to putting it in proper perspective, the same way that God wants us to have it. Love yourself. No plantation relationships. No, thank you. I don't want it. I'll pass. And so when you come, and you know, as different people have come to me and they've, join this and join that. Listen, baby, I'm checking it out. I'm looking first and foremost because I'm not going to attach myself relationally to anything that is wrapped up tied up and tangled up in bondage. You can have your bondage, you can have your plantation, and you can't have my wool. My wool is mine, and my gift of wool is making room for me, and you surely will not have me for lamb chops for dinner. This lion, this pride of lions, Pride, this pride of lions is relentless, and you're going to hear me roar. At the end of the day, anything that is allowed and afforded to me as my gift, that gift is going to make room for me. Did you hear what I said? That room is going to make room for me. That gift is going to make room for me. And listen, me is me. And then anybody else that I invite in my space is by invitation only. You're not going to sashay yourself up in my space. You're not going to sashay yourself up into where God has opened the door for me, except by invitation. And that invitation is still going to be contingent on, if you come in the penthouse with me, you got to have a penthouse mindset. You're not going to come in the penthouse talking bondage. You're not going to come in the penthouse talking slavery. You're not going to come in the penthouse talking about you need to go ahead and give them your wool, because no, ma'am, no, sir. That's not the place that I'm operating from, and that's not the premise that I expect for you to come in my space and operate from either, because everything in my environment is going to start lining up with me. And everything that does not understand how to walk in this place, unless you're here to learn, unless you're here to grow, but if you're just here to try to leech, sometimes we need to pay attention. Outside of the box is where the creatives live. Come on here, Royal Confessions. Outside of the box is where we live. And so when you try to put me back into a box, my spirit says, no, I can't go back in the box. No, I can't go back into the bondage. No, you can't have my wool. No, as a matter of fact, how about this? I am a lion. You're going to hear me roar. I keep saying that because I want you to get that down in your shando. Stop letting people take charge and have control over your life, over your world, over what you think. The creativity that God has given you, oh my God, it's just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the bigger it gets. The more you create, the more creativity you come up with. The more you create, the stronger you become. The more you create, the higher you go. The more you create, the closer you come to your penthouse. The more you create, the more you open up your penthouse and begin to decorate it. You begin to bring into it everything that you want. Your creativity begins to open spaces and open places. Your creativity starts doing something. That gift makes room for you. Am I talking to anybody? And then not only does it make room, but that room, you begin to expand. When he said, listen, I want you to enlarge your territory. Pull up the stake of your tents. Pull those stakes up. And what was comfortable in this little bitty area right now, all of a sudden, I need more room. Not because I'm trying to be greedy, not because I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, not because I'm looking at what other people has, but literally my creativity is expanding me, and it's growing till this isn't enough space anymore. I got to go a little bigger. And then it grows and it grows till this isn't big enough anymore. I got to go a little bit. Yes, enlarge your territory, enlarge your mind, enlarge the penthouse, enlarge all that creativity that God has deposited in you, and stop trying to explain it to people, because there's some people, they want what you got. And listen, can I come here just for a second? Because even if I look at Joseph and the coat of many colors, and some of you have all the coat of many colors, God has given it to you. He's given you the favor. He's given you. Now, I'll come back to that later on because I don't want to get stopped on that. But you have, and that coat is for everybody. Let me just say that. I'm not picking and choosing, and God is not picking and choosing, because he's no respecter of person. But understand this. He gives everybody a coat of many colors, but if you won't put it on and wear it, that's on you. Can I put it like that? He gives all of us a coat of many colors, that coat of favor, that coat of creativity. But whether you pick it up and put it on, that's on you. So when we come to this place where we have Joseph that puts on his coat that he was given by his father, and the jealousy, that's what I want to talk to you about too. I want you to understand, some folk want you to stay Baba black sheep so they can keep getting your wool and keep getting your lamb chops. But there is that element when they see you and they talk to you and everything that you hear is negative, everything you hear is trying to pull you down, everything that you hear has some air of negativity attached to it. Many times y'all need to go ahead and identify that what you are dealing with is really jealousy and keep on moving. And at the end of the day, you got to understand, I don't waste my time on jealous people. And I need y'all to get that down in your shondo too. Stop wasting your time on jealous people. Listen, as my mama used to say, I'm not going to waste my breath because I'm going to need that breath someday. I'm not going to waste my time. And this is something people have not understood me about. And I don't care. People that know me know how I roll. I don't chase down lies. I don't chase down tales. I don't chase down none of that, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to waste my time. Well, it must be true because you didn't defend yourself. You didn't say nothing. I'm not going to waste my breath. Y'all can go on and run with it as long as you want to. You can say what you want to say. You can think on it. You can spread it abroad. You can tell it to all kind of people. I don't care, because at the end of the day, when I identify a jealous spirit, I'm not going to waste my time, and you are not going to get my attention, and you are not going to monopolize my energy, because all that's doing is pulling me away from moving on to where I'm going. So I want y'all to hear that, because some of y'all got folks that's after you left and right, but at the end of the day, at the root of it all is jealousy. They want what you got. They wish they could move like you move. They wish they could do so many things. And at the end of the day, while you sit back and debate and go through a verbal sparring with them, you ain't doing nothing but losing precious time and energy that you could be doing something productive. Somebody needed that word, and I hope you grabbed it today. So at the end of the day, as we're moving on to this place of a penthouse, oh yeah, you want to talk about what I ain't, and you want to talk about what I don't have and who I'm not. At the end of the day, that by itself lets me know you do not have a penthouse mentality, because penthouse mentality is not tearing people down. Penthouse mentality is building people up. Penthouse mentality is saying, hey, how many folks can we get to their penthouse? How many folks can we get delivered? How many folks can we get to another place of living? How many people can expect not suffering? How many people can expect success? How many people can expect life and life more abundantly? How many people can expect now unto him that's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ask or think? How many more people can really expect and live that lifestyle in the penthouse? Live that lifestyle in every area of their mentality. Live that lifestyle in every area of your being. How many folks can we convert? Because when we get the folks converted, then we can start seeing a different world. Then we can start seeing where hatred is gone. Then we can start seeing where racism is gone. Then we can start seeing, but you know what? I want you to be clear on this point. The people that live in the gutter, and understand, this has nothing to do with materialistic wealth. I'm talking about poor folks that are poor in their emotions, poor in their thinking. Those people that are down in the gutter, they are miserable, and they want to make you miserable too. They're coming from a place of insecurity, and insecure people will try to tear you down, but they're trying to tear you down because they are insecure. And this is the thing that I've learned in life, beloved. Let them be insecure by themselves. Don't entertain it. Don't stand around and look it and watch it. Lead by example more visually rather than verbally. Come on here, King Coogee. Don't just open your mouth and bump your gums and say a thing. I want to see it manifested. So when we get finished, I'm looking and I'm identifying. And I've, at this age and stage of life, I've learned some things, y'all. I'm trying to help you. And especially some of y'all young folk, I'm trying to help you. Stop wasting your energies debating and talking with people that really, at the end of the day, they're insecure. It's their insecurity. Don't feed it and don't feed into it. But most of all, don't take it on yourself. Don't take it into your mind. Don't take it into your emotions. Don't take it into your energy. Leave them there on the side of the road in their own little insecure place by themselves, and you keep moving. If you can't run, then crawl. If you listen, whatever you got to do, but as Martin Luther King said, by all means, keep moving. Keep moving. Do not stop. Don't waste your time. I need you to go ahead and pass all of that by and move on to another level. Why? Because you have a penthouse mentality. The penthouse mentality doesn't have time for that. The penthouse mentality is not going to entertain that. And I'm not saying be mean to people, but at the same time, so many times, I want you to hear me when I say this. So many of us have been taught how to be kind to people that we are way past our time being kind to somebody. We should have left them a long time ago. Am I talking to anybody? You have to learn. I'm going to say it again, just like I said the other day. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Some of you all are still trying to be kind to people that you should have left a long time ago. I didn't say be unkind, but I am saying keep it moving. Keep it moving. You turn around and bat an eye, 5 years of your life are gone. You turn around and bat your eye, 10 years of your life is gone. You turn around and for nothing. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing. Other than people that been belly aching, complaining, snotting and crying, mad at you, trying to make you less than. And this is the thing, beloved, when you have secure people in your life, you don't have to be less than to make them more than. Here, that's a word, that's a word, that's a word. When you have penthouse mentality people that you're dealing with in your life, you don't have to make yourself less than to make them more than. If you got to make yourself less than to make them more than, that's where I come back and say, how can two walk together except they be agreed? If I gotta make myself be less than to make you more than, we don't agree. How can two walk together except be not unequally yoked together? And y'all get that all caught up in marriages and relationships like that. I'm trying to get you, whether it's your job, don't be unequally yoked together. Whether it's your relationship, don't be unequally yoked together. Whether it's marriage, whether it's friendship, whatever you want to put in the blank, don't get unequally yoked. If you've got to diminish yourself to make somebody else feel better, that is unequally yoked. Do you hear me? If I'm in the penthouse mentality and you're coming with the slave mentality, we are not equally yoked. And listen, I'm going to say this one more time. Projects, living in the projects. I'm going somewhere here. Some of us are living in the projects. And what is the project? You find somebody else and they become your project. Now you are going somewhere, but you keep getting delayed and waylaid because you got all these projects. You're living in all these projects. Hear me when I say this. I found this person over here and they become my new project. Now, they ain't got no mentality that even speaks or whispers to penthouse, but I'm gonna stop and try to see, can I get you to come along with me to the penthouse? That's a project. Do you understand what I'm saying? If it's not a penthouse mentality associated to penthouse mentality, do you hear what I'm saying? We might be on the journey to get there, but listen, we got to at least have the same mindset. How can two walk together except they be agreed? I can't be with a penthouse mindset and you got slavery plantation mindset and we walking together trying to get to the penthouse. You gonna constantly pull me back. You're going to constantly pull me down. You're going to constantly frustrate me. We're going to constantly be arguing. We're going to constantly be fighting because we're coming from two totally different mindsets. And this whole idea, I'm going to rescue you. I can't rescue you. You got to want to rescue yourself. You got to want to better yourself. You've got to want to go to the penthouse yourself. You've got to get it on your inside, in your shondo. I can't put it in there. If it's not in there from within, you sure can't put it in there from without. So at the end of the day, I'm talking to somebody here today that needs to hear this. Stop living in the projects. Your heart is big. Your heart is kind. Your heart is loving. But these are projects. You're living in the projects because they don't have the mindset. They don't have the mentality. They don't even have the interest. They're not interested in going to the penthouse. After I sat and I talked to that young sister, and I love her to death. I love her to this day, but she's in the same spot right now today she was when I talked to her 3 years ago, and probably worse. I talked and talked and talked till I was blue. I talked and talked and talked till I couldn't think of another way to put it. I thought of every analogy. I thought of every explanation. I thought of every story. I thought of every way I could break it down. And at the end of the day, baby, she's worse now than she was then because she did not have any intention. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. There are folks out there that you've taken on as projects, and you're living in the projects trying to get to the penthouse, and they have no intention. Do y'all hear me talking? I'm preaching real hard. I shouldn't have to slow down my travel to help you get to your destination. And you are absolutely right, King Coogee. Listen, if you gonna ride my train, you got to go my pace. And so at the end of the day, I know we've taught y'all some stuff. I know we've taught y'all some ideas, but listen, I want you to hear me from the standpoint and hear my heart. Please hear my heart and know it for real. Just like Harriet Tubman, when she went down to deliver folk from slavery, you got to keep up with the train. You got to learn how to operate whatever. If you're going to be on the Underground Railroad on your way to freedom, you got to keep up, step up, move up, come up. You got to do it. If you're not going to do it, this train is bound for glory, this train. And if you want to stay on this train, baby, you got to keep up. So some of you have to embrace that, because I know you've been taught, go back and get this one, go back and get one. Well, first and foremost, the crawdad has to get out the bottom of the pail themselves before they can get anybody else out of the pail. Can I say that? If you still are trying to get out of the bottom of the pail with all the rest of the crawdads, listen, somebody's got to get out before anybody can reach back and throw back and offer help. Hear me when I say that. Get yourself free. What did I say even about the love? Bow, bow, black sheep, have you any wool? Which I'm using love. Yes, sir. I got one for my master. I got love for my dame. I got love for the little boy that lives down there. Love yourself first every day. Life, love yourself first every day. I need you to love you first. Y'all out here trying to pick up people along the way to show them love, but you haven't fully loved yourself. You haven't fully appreciated yourself. You haven't fully accepted yourself. You haven't fully embraced yourself, but you're trying to embrace everybody else. You're living in the projects. You become your own project and then try to pick up all these other projects along the way. So at the end of the day, I need you to hear me. Stop the madness. Stop the monkeys in the barrel, King Coogee. Stop. Love yourself first every day. And then stop trying to pick up all these projects. If I look back, if you look back, if we look back, how many of us have slowed down our progress? How many of us have actually gotten detoured living in projects of people's lives that we wanted to make them better? We wanted to have a better life for them. But again, the intention has to come from within. It will not come from without. If they don't have any intention, baby, you can't put the intention in them. And so at the end of the day, you'll be sitting there looking at your penthouse and never going over. I'm looking and I'm thinking about Moses. After all the time of leading the children in the wilderness, trying to get to the promised land, trying to get the children to the promised land. And I'm leading you, I'm going, I'm listening to the word. I'm coming back and telling you, I'm telling you what God said and da-da-da-da-da-da. And this is an age you don't need anybody. God will talk to you himself. I promise, if you get relationship with God, God will tell you, God will. But at the end of the day, I look at Moses, and all Moses can do is go up in a high mountain and look over into the promised land. All Moses can do is go to the mountain and look over at the penthouse. That's all he can do, is look at the penthouse. Why? Because he tried to lead a bunch of people that didn't have a penthouse mentality. He's trying to lead a bunch of people that Egypt is in them. And understand, they weren't even able, bondage, can I put it like that? Bondage is in them. Low living is in them. Suffering is in them. All of these negative low things that we've been teaching y'all for years and years and years and tried to make it holy and godly. Listen, that's what's in the folk, and that's why they can't get over to the promised land, because Egypt is still in there. So Moses gets to look at the penthouse, but Moses doesn't get to live in the penthouse, because guess what? All of these folk All of these folk full of Egypt, all of these folk full of plantation, all of these folk full of bondage, all of these folk that don't, yes, I'm free from Egypt, but I'm still wandering in the wilderness. I'm talking to somebody today. Some of y'all, you are looking at the penthouse, but you still won't cross over because it's still too much Egypt in you. It's still too much tradition in you. It's too much of what they taught me in you. There's too much of holding on to old stuff and stinking thinking that's in you. There's too many projects that you still living in you. All of that is Egypt, bondage, plantation, slavery mentality. It's too much of that in you. And even though your mind has started to elevate to the penthouse mentality, you won't let them things go. And so you can't go over into the promised land. But I am so thankful for the Joshua that rises up in us, the salvation that rises up in us, the deliverance that rises up in us, that says, listen, I'm gonna let all of the Egypt die out here in the wilderness. I ain't taking none of that with me. I'm gonna let all of this die out here in the wilderness. All of the Egypt, all of the plantation, all of the slavery, all of the suffering way, all of the folks that got all of this bondage theology and bondage mentality. Y'all stay over here. I'm gonna let all of that die in my flesh. I'm gonna let it die in my emotions. I'm gonna let it die in my mindset. I am insisting that everything that crosses over into my promise, everything that goes into the new land is new. Behold, all things are become new. I'm not taking none of that baggage with me. I'm not trying to round up all my projects. I'm not trying to live in my projects. I'm not. Am I talking to anybody in here? I want you to come to that place where you go back to Eden, live on top of the world. When God made Adam and Eve, male and female created he them and gave them dominion together. So yes, that releases the women from patriarchy. We are not under the bondage of male domination. No, we are not. It brings us to a place. Let's go back to Eden, male and female together in dominion, and live on top of the world. I will not be under anybody. Hear me when I say that. I'm not. The only power that I answer to is the power of God. Anything and anybody else, you're fooling and deceiving yourself. But I will not be deceived, because you're not going to make me come under subjection to something that is not God. So at the end of the day, when I look, and I'm going to say it again, freedom for everybody, SK. Freedom for everybody, Sheila. When we get down to it, we got to come to this place where we say, back to Eden. I told you, the same way we want to teach salvation, and salvation reversed the curse. It reversed the curse for men and women. So you're not going to preach me a male-dominated theology that keeps women in subjection. If everything in the curse was reversed for you, it's reversed for me too. And when God told them, he was talking to male and female, have dominion over the earth. So when we come back to the penthouse, and this is my whole definition, some folk don't like it, but I'm gonna tell you it anyway. My definition of repentance isn't all the sin and degradation that y'all want to talk about. My idea of repent, because I contend there are a lot of quote unquote believers that still have not repented. And what is my idea of repent? Do it again. That's what that means. Re. And then pent. Go back to the penthouse. We were in the penthouse to begin with. We fell out the penthouse. And now we have an opportunity to repent. Go back to the penthouse. But until you get back to that freedom, until you get back to that liberty, until you get back to that whole mindset, I am nobody's slave. I am nobody's little flunky. I am nobody's less than. We all are equal peers. We all walk shoulder to shoulder. We all walk hand in hand. There is no I'm less than. And I'm surely not going to play less than to make you feel better than. Until we repent, get back to the penthouse mentality, we will continue, believers and unbelievers alike, we will continue to be in bondage to this world system. And I absolutely, positively, I refuse to do it. I'm looking again for people that make my baby leap. And so I'm going to say it once more and again. Some of you that understand the penthouse, we need your voices now than never before. I'm going to say this too. Some of you all were never in the basement. Some of you were never down in those lowly places, even though you heard the teachings, and whether it was church or whether it was society, because we get indoctrinated in all of these different areas. Don't deceive yourself. We get indoctrinated in all of these different areas of society. Some of you never fell down. You didn't embrace it to begin with. And part of your struggle has been, I don't believe that. Even though everybody else is preaching it, even though everybody else is teaching it, I don't believe that. And some of you have been covered and protected from the beginning. And so this is the time that where before, when this was dominant and prominent, because this is the deception and the lie that people were taught, told, and believed, you had to keep quiet and not speak and hold your tongue. Or maybe talk to smaller groups or individuals or others as you had opportunity. But I'm telling you now, this is your time to speak. Some of you have had clarity on this for a long time. You never went under the bondage. You never came into the plantation. You never accepted the slavery. And you, as a result of that, never fit. And as a result and scenario to the situation, you never got to speak or seldom got to speak or were disregarded or looked over because you didn't come and espouse to that same bondage teaching that was so dominant and prominent in the earth. But this is your time to speak. Hear me when I say it. This is your time to allow the voice of those that have the penthouse mentality to sound and resound as never before, because it needs to offset all of the imbalance of the stinking thinking. Am I talking to anybody? We need something to counteract the stinking thinking. We need models. I go back to that scripture so many times. Arise, shine, for the light is come and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Some of you that were counted the least are now going to be manifest as the greatest. Hear me what I'm saying. Some of you that have been counted the least by people, because God already knew who you were from the very beginning, but people counted you as the least. This is your time to come forth as the greatest, as the real deal, as the manifestation of what God is really about and has always been about. And I'm going to say it again. Why did the age of law, why did the age of the church precede the age of God? So that we could see that it wouldn't work. I don't care how you put it together. I don't care how you try to string it. I don't care how you try to bring it. It ain't going to work. Because at the end of the day, when you have bondage at the root, when you have fear at the root. And yeah, I told you how many times, even in our religious organizations and entities, how many times is fear woven in that to get a result? Anytime you have to resort to fear tactics, it's not of God. Perfect love gets rid of fear. Can I just make it that plain? Can I put it that plainly? Folks that got saved out of fear, you didn't get saved. There's something wrong with that. And hear me when I say, yes, I'm not denouncing your ability to have a relationship, but let me word it. Let me word it a little better. Fear, and when I say you didn't get saved, I'm talking to the core of it. If you're saved because you're scared, any love relationship that exists because I'm afraid of the person that I'm supposed to be loving, that's jacked up. Can you embrace what I'm saying from that standpoint? From that standpoint of when you really get saved, set free, delivered. And I'm not talking about from the churchy terms. I'm talking about reality. When you really get saved and in relationship with God, when you know God, he gets rid of fear. And so if fear and torment is what's driving your relationship with God, you have already shortchanged yourself. And that's true of any relationship. If you're staying in a relationship because you're afraid, you're fearful, what'll happen if I walk away? What'll happen if I go a different direction? What'll happen if, and worse yet, what will they do to me? Now, anytime you got an idea that your action and behavior is going to make somebody do something negative towards you, I really need you to get that. I need, exactly, King Kuji. There's a total difference between fear and deep respect for it. Those are two totally different things. Two totally different things. You can have a deep respect for a person. But this is the thing. The people that I deeply respect, those are the ones that I love the most and fear the least. For me, the people that I respect the most, those are the ones that I love the most and I fear the least. And that's the truth. Because I respect them for who they are, what they bring to the table. And I don't fear nothing about them. I don't have anxious worry and tension in my emotions and my spirit, what and how this person will do. If I don't, yes, yes, no, no to everything they say. If you got to be a puppet to people for them to like you, they don't like you. And I'm going to say that even for those that cannot seem to embrace the idea and the liberation of liberation theology, that's not the God we serve either. It comes back to love. It all comes back to love, Kuji. It all comes back to love. It all comes back to love. And I'll even speak, it's he, she, because there is a feminine element of God, just like a masculine element. And we've been very one-sided in our patriarchal system of only identifying God from a patriarchal male standpoint. But there is that nurturing, that loving, that femininity. And some folk gonna be offended by that, but go ahead and be offended. It's the truth anyhow. We are the manifestation of all God is. So as we come into this whole element, and I'm not talking about gender, and genitalia. Some of y'all can't get beyond that. So as I come to a whole conclusion on this Fresh Start Friday, I hope that you hear what I've said. We started with patriarchy and that whole idea, patriarchy is for the birds. It wasn't from the beginning. Even when we picked it up and started teaching it as gospel, it was not from the beginning. We saw God clearly make provision for the female gender in Genesis from the beginning, even though it got preached and taught and institutionalized a whole nother way. From the beginning, it was not so. And so we continue to teach it down through the centuries and down through the ages, right down to the current time. But I'm going to continue to take my stand against patriarchal systems that oppress females. So as we come into the mindset of knowing it's not about that, and we come into a place of absolute freedom for everybody, and coming back into that place of knowing that everybody has been made free and we were created free. And when you know the truth will make you free. For everybody that can embrace that. The one thing that Great Britain got right, come on here. So when we understand that that whole element is to bring us to the penthouse mindset, male, female, and every other, because I'm not just addressing binary. When we come to understanding everybody has an open door, an invitation, and really a compelling to come into the penthouse mindset. It's time to move. It is time to move, live, abide, and reside in the penthouse. So I look like, I act like, I talk like, and I expect that I belong in the penthouse. And that, when you really embrace that in the fullness of your being, can't nobody take you back into bondage. Nobody, but nobody can take you back into bondage. I cannot be put back. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. I cannot be put back into that bondage. I just can't. And this is the beauty of it. Your relationships first and foremost with yourself and with others, begin to flourish like you never could have imagined. That's when you get to the life and the life more abundantly. That's when you get to the exceedingly abundantly above all we could ask or think. Because I've learned if I ain't learned nothing else in life, it ain't in the materialism, it's in the people that are in my world. Those are the greatest jewels that I have. That's the greatest wealth that I have. The people that are in my lives. Y'all can have all the money. Y'all can have all the this, the that, the other, name it, name it, name it. But when I have the richness of other people in my life that share this penthouse mindset that I have, and we share in our relationship from that place and from that premise and from that perspective, baby, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. You talk about being satisfied and being whole, being happy and happening. It changes everything. Hear me when I tell you, I'm not lying to you. And I'm just on the tip of the iceberg, I feel. And there's more. Oh, there's so much more. And I plan to experience all of it. Eat ye all of it. I plan to have total communion. Drink ye all of it. I plan to have total communion with the life and the more abundant life that has been given to me by God. And this that I have, the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. And that being said, I want you to have it in the fullness, not in the bondage of plantation capitalism. Don't buy into that lie. Don't buy into that system. That's not it. Bring yourself to another level. Allow the wealth to come to you and wealth of people. Now, that being said, I plan and understand that my expectation is that God wants me to have the finance that I need to live a comfortable and happy life. He doesn't mean for me to suffer in my finance and barely make it and scrape the bottom of the barrel. I don't believe that. That's not my focal point. But I also know my expectation is penthouse. And if I'm in the penthouse, then everything about me has to match the penthouse. Hear me when I say it. So I'm looking and I'm saying, whatever I need to modify in how I operate, even in understanding that my gift makes room for me. And some of y'all need to, I'm going to say it one last time, stop giving your gift away. Stop giving your gift away. There's a difference between paying it forward and giving your gift away. And know the difference between those two times. When you feel that it is right and righteous to pay it forward, do that. But stop giving your gift away. Somebody needs that word. Stop living in the projects. And this is not a put down to individuals that may be listening to me from projects. What I'm saying to you is wherever you are, lift yourself to the highest level of mentality and mindset, which is penthouse. And again, to those that keep taking on projects, people that really have no intention nor desire to move higher, let those folks go. Stop explaining yourself to people. And again, identify the folks that are speaking ugly things to you out of their own place of insecurity and jealousy. And don't waste your breath. Be quiet and keep moving. And by all means, don't stop till you get there. That was personal. I'm telling you, don't stop till you get there. Don't stop till you get there. And then stay there. That's where you live. Now understand, when you live in the penthouse, yeah, I can go down to the basement if I want to, but I don't live there. I can go down to the lower levels, but I don't live there. You understand what I'm saying? I can go down the street. I can go wherever I want to go, but I don't live there. I live in the penthouse. And that's my Friday, Fresh Start Friday thought for you. The word for the day is penthouse mindset. And I hope this helped you in some way, shape, or form. Well, I know it blessed me. And I'm learning. I'm learning to live it. I'm not just trying to tell you something that I'm not doing myself, but I am a lion and you're going to hear me roar. And I'm learning to stop giving my wool away like I'm playing Bye Bye Black Sheep. And love yourself first every day. Life, King Coogee, that's his emblem. Love yourself first every day. But that's a word to the people, and I want y'all to hear it. All right? I love you. I love you. I love you. Whew. Well, we made it. It didn't cut me off, y'all. Y'all came on back and y'all brought that good energy. Me and the devil had a tussle, but I won. We made it all the way through, and I appreciate you. Yes, this pride, P-R-I-D, is relentless, and you're going to hear me roar. Well, I feel for my brother, and I feel for my sister. Penthouse mindset with basement budget. We gonna bring it all up, y'all. We gonna bring it all up. Ain't that all right, King Coogee? This is your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman. And I appreciate you for joining me for today's edition of Yes You, O Cube, one-on-one, just me and you. My word for the day was Penthouse mindset. And as you leave here on today, on this Fresh Start Friday, I hope you leave with nothing less than that penthouse mindset. Follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, Twitter, Twitch, Anchor. Yes, I'm on Discord and more. Follow me all them places, y'all, because I got something for you. Now, as I often say, my dear friend Rhonda World, y'all know her as Royal Confessions, she says, if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. And listen, don't just talk about change. I want you to be the change and be changed. Can we say that? Don't just be the change. Don't just talk about the change, but be the change and be changed. The words I like to leave you with, my last and final words, us, you, me, we all, because that's what it's about here on Yes You O Cube. It's me and you just chatting and talking and going to a greater place. I love you. I love you. I love you. And until Tuesday, I'll see you again Tuesday morning. And hopefully we're going to have this studio straightened around so we don't do the in and out, in and out. I got to say thank you all for being patient and thank you all for coming back. We never did get back to where we started this morning, but most of you came back, and I appreciate you for putting up with that. We'll see you on Tuesday morning, 7 o'clock. In the meantime, for those that want a preached word, I do preach a sermon on on Sundays at 2 o'clock. And then we come back with Yes, You and Friends. Yes, You and Friends, Sundays at 6 o'clock. You'll enjoy all of the above. I'm going to give a shout out one last time. King Coogee, check him out. Join his stream. The Rebel Inc., check her out. Mike City, check him out. Shelby Nicole Cosplay, check her out, because these folks will bless you and I want you to support them. Would you do that for me? I'm gonna close out with my eternal last words. Peace for your journey.